In this video, we have part 4 of what each team should do at the MLB trade deadline. We have the NL East edition today. I gotta be honest, I'm super excited for this video. I really like these trades. Let's start it off with the Mets. The Mets, they haven't been playing as well of late as they did to start the season, but they're still first in the division. They could use a little bit of help though, especially out there in that bullpen. One guy that I think makes a lot of sense for the Mets is Jorge Lopez. Now, the more the Orioles win, the less likely this trade becomes, but I think he would be a good fit for the Mets. So here's my proposal. I have obviously the Mets getting Jorge Lopez, and I have the Orioles getting Javier Atencio and Dominic Hamill. Hamill, he's been okay, but I really like Atencio. In 8 games this year, he's 2-0 with a 2.14 ERA. He has 44 strikeouts in 33 and 2/3 innings, and he's only given up 23 hits in that span. You cannot tell me Jorge Lopez was not meant to be a Met. I mean, look at him in this Mets jersey. Obviously, a fantastic Photoshop job by me, but he looks great in that jersey. It's meant to be. Moving on to the Atlanta Braves. The Braves have been playing really well lately. They have been gaining a lot of ground on the Mets, but you can never have too much pitching, and I think that should be the mantra for this team. You can never have too much pitching. They kind of did that with outfielders last year. They traded for 4 outfielders. They went way over the top, but hey, it worked with outfielders. Maybe it works with pitching too. They won the World Series. So I think a guy the Braves should go after is Brad Keller. This season, he's been okay, but he's still fairly young, and I think this Braves organization could turn him into a star on the mound. So here's my trade proposal. In return for Keller, I have the Royals getting Diego Benitez. Now, Benitez is still really young, so he hasn't had a big sample size in the minor leagues, but like I said, he's super young, so he's got lots and lots of time to progress throughout the minor leagues. Now on to the Philadelphia Phillies. The Phillies, they've still got a pretty good shot to make the playoffs. They're third in their division, but they're playing pretty good, and they could definitely use an outfielder like I've been talking about in my past videos. I talked about maybe Chad Pinder could be a potential fit, but I really like Robbie Grossman for them. Grossman's a switch hitter, and he plays pretty good defense. He actually just made his first error since 2018. It was the longest streak of any player in baseball, which is funny because I thought that that play he had in Minnesota a couple months ago was an error, but that's besides the point. So in my proposal here, I have Grossman going to the Phillies, and in return, I have the Tigers getting Donnie Sands. He's a catcher. He actually has a pretty cool story. If you ever have any time, you should definitely look him up. But I think Grossman makes a ton of sense for the Phillies. And once again, I don't know if it's like my amazing Photoshop skills, but that Phillies uniform, something about it looks right on him. I think he belongs in Philadelphia. The Miami Marlins, I'm not going to lie, this team's actually way better than I thought they were going to be this year. I think give them 1 year and they are a serious contender in that NL East. But I think they could use a bullpen arm. And I really like Joe Mantiply for them. I'm going to be completely honest. I didn't even know Mantiply was having such a good season until like a couple weeks ago, but he's been really good. A 1.91 ERA in 33 innings, yeah, that's going to cut it. In return, I have the D-backs getting Nasim Nunez. Nunez is kind of an interesting guy because he doesn't really hit for power and he doesn't really hit for average, but I think with a little more development down there in the minor leagues, he could turn into a pretty good player. Lastly, we've got the Nationals. The Nationals, it's no secret, they're not a very good team, and they are going to be selling anybody they can at the deadline this year, and one guy I think they're going to try to shop is Cesar Hernandez. Now, I've liked Cesar Hernandez for a very long time. I think he's a really good player, even if sometimes his numbers don't show it necessarily. Now, he's batting .242 this year with 19 RBIs and no home runs. Now, he's played way better than those numbers. Obviously, he's not a big power guy, but he's played better than those numbers. Now, here's where Cesar Hernandez is great. he leads the league in games played, plate appearances, and at-bats. So he plays a ton. Whenever you need him, he'll go out there and he'll play. Now, get him in a lineup with a lot of good hitters. I think those RBIs start to go up. I think that power starts to improve. And that's why I have the Nationals trading him to the Atlanta Braves. After losing Ozzie Albies, the Braves could really use a second baseman. Even though they have Orlando Arcia, having another guy would really be helpful. And Cesar Hernandez is kind of like a Walmart version of Ozzie Albies. In return for Hernandez, I have the Nationals getting 19-year-old outfielder Tyler Collins. He doesn't really have a lot of experience at the minor league level, less than 100 at-bats, so it's not really fair to judge him on that, but I think he has a pretty high ceiling. Even in those 87 at-bats, he has a 322 average, so I think the Nationals would be okay giving up Cesar for him. So that about wraps up the video. Tell me in the comment sections below, how were my trades? Were they good? Were they bad? Were they eh? And I will see you in part 5.